What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. This is Hunter coming to you live from a very beautiful location. On today's video, I was going to do an outdoor video, but being as I have both my son and my nephew and didn't realize how windy it was, we're just gonna sit in the car and we're gonna talk about today's special location. I mentioned in the last video that I wanted to do a lot of places that were in Broome County, most of which are very important to me, and I'm still trying to track out how I'm going to go about each place and exactly what order I'm going to do each location in. But as time goes on, hopefully I will figure that out. Today's location of interest is the very, very small hamlet of Endwell. And I am currently sitting in the parking lot of the very popular, very beautiful, and surprisingly busy Highland Park. Now, a little bit of a backstory of Endwell. Endwell is considered a hamlet, so it is not incorporated as a village or obviously it's not a city. It's actually considered a suburb of Binghamton, which I don't see how that's possible because Binghamton is nowhere near here. It is located in the town of Union in Broome County, and it is actually the easternmost. It is located to the north of Endicott. A lot of stories talk about the origins of where the name Endwell came from. One of the most popular is back in the 1800s, there was a gentleman by the name of H. Wendell Johnson who worked at the Endicott Johnson Shoe Factory, and he was creating a shoe called the Endwell. And basically his slogan is if you wear the end well, your day will end well. And as an honor to him, they decided to name this little hamlet after him. As of the 2020 census, the population of Endwell is a staggering 11,792 people. Whew, that's a lot of people for such a small area. Speaking of areas, surprisingly, the hamlet of Endwell only has a square mileage of 3.8 miles, which is 3.7 miles of land and 0.007 miles of water, which if you were to walk around Endwell as a whole, you would notice there's not a lot of water around here, which is probably why Endwell has never flooded. I'm just kidding, it actually has. Once, a long time ago. Most of the reason why Endwell barely floods, and some other places do, is because the majority of Endwell as a hamlet is up on enough hillage that it basically is, for lack of a better term, it doesn't regularly get affected by water so much as other places like Johnson City, Binghamton, and Vestal, whereas most of their area is encompassed by water, especially Vestal. What? Sorry, I had to turn around and give my nephew back his toy. Now, I was talking with my fiance yesterday, and I told her that I wanted to come out here to do, I wanted to come to Endwell to do my video for today. But I told her I didn't know where I wanted to go, just because, I mean, I can't say I don't know Endwell. I know Endwell actually very, very well. But it's more of the fact of where was the best place to basically conduct a video, and one that I didn't have to worry about, you know, being around a lot of people. I had also forgotten that I was going to have my nephew, but that's beside the point. So, Endwell is basically one of those, you come to it, you drive a little bit, and you're already past it places, because it is considered a hamlet and not an actual village or anything like that. Endwell is not a very flourishing town anymore, hamlet anymore. Back in the 1800s, all the way up to the 1920s and the 1940s, it used to be extremely prominent as far as, you know, manufacturing, log hauling, and stuff like that. Part of the reason for the development of what is currently known as the hamlet of Endwell was the building of IBM back in the 1960s, and Endwell basically became a hamlet in order to house the IBM workers, which obviously, because IBM is no longer in business, the IBM workers, believe it or not, still live here, but most of them are obviously retired. Endwell as a whole, once upon a time, developed a school district. I believe it was 1960. The people that lived in Endwell were going to Union Endicott high schools until the building of the main Endwell High School, which basically combined the two hamlets, the hamlet of Maine and the hamlet of Endwell, into a functionable school district. As I mentioned, Endwell doesn't really have a lot of, we'll say, pizzazz to it, just because it is a very small area. But walking around here, you wouldn't know that, just because of how much there is around the area. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I am sitting in Highland Park. Highland Park is also, as I mentioned, one of the most popular places in Endwell, because every year they hold the annual 4th of July festival, which is obviously very popular for residents all over that come here to see the fireworks. They actually have a couple like midway attractions, games and stuff like that. Highland Park also has a carousel. They have a recently renovated pool, and I'm pretty sure they also have a basketball court. They also have another building over here behind me, but I'm not sure what that building is for, and don't feel like asking. Obviously, because it is a bigger than normal park, They do have a playground. They have walking trails. They have, actually, Highland Park is one of the few parks in Broome County that has 2 different entrances. They have a north entrance and a south entrance. The north entrance is the entrance that I came in, and the south entrance, unfortunately, I don't think is accessible from this side of the park, but I could be wrong. If you go down the hill that I'm actually in front of, there is a service road that actually goes around the other end of the park and goes out the other side, but I don't know if it is open for the season. Obviously, most parks in Broome County don't actually open until like spring or summertime to the general public, but obviously, if you can get in it, you know, you're more than welcome to use it, given, you know, safety concerns and all that other stuff. Also in the immediate area, and actually, forgotten from me because obviously I've been around so much that I don't really, well, I could say I didn't really get out very often, but I had forgotten that there is an entire plaza, actually right across the street from Highland Park, called the Park Manor Plaza. And it's basically your everyday, it's your everyday plaza. It's got a company called Delta, basically at the spearhead. It's got the local grocery store, Weis. It's got a Dollar Tree, a liquor store, a couple small restaurants. It's actually got a child care center on the west end of the plaza. And said child care center was actually the former location of a McDonald's, all the way back in the 1990s. Don't ask me how I remember that. Other noteworthy areas in Endwell include, obviously, the I almost said it. The main Endwell High School, the Struble Sports Complex, down on Farm to Market Road. There's actually 2 other plazas down closer to the business district that house various businesses, ranging from Dunkin' Donuts, Subway. I believe there's an ice cream store down there. There's a couple gas stations. I believe there's another daycare center. And I believe there's a bakery down there too. Which is astounding because, like I said, if you think of an area so small, you say to yourself, well, this place doesn't have that much to offer. You'd be so wrong. Obviously, being as there is 11,000 residents here as of 2020, it is mostly residential, but the fact that you can take an area that is 3.8 square miles, combined it with 95% residential and another 5% of businesses, says a lot about the people that we called, we basically credit as the architects of, you know, what we know of as Broome County and Tioga County and the surrounding area of New York State. Why did you do that? Bud. I don't have any recent memories of coming to Endwell or doing anything at Endwell as a whole. except obviously coming here to Highland Park to watch the fireworks. Obviously because there's not really that much to do, and obviously being an adult. Stop. Leave it in your lap. Being as there's not a lot to do here, Endwell is a town that I've kind of let fall to the wayside on its own over the years, just because, you know, it was good when I was a kid and obviously lived in the area, but outside of passing through the area onto another destination, I don't really come to Endwell that often. So, with that being said, I'm going to do the part in the video where I actually get out of the car. Make sure my boys behave. And show you guys some of the sights of Highland Park and pretty much Endwell as a whole. So, stated, I am in the parking lot of Highland Park. And up here, you can see that there's a field. Pretty sure it is multi-use. I do remember a couple years ago coming out here on accident to a festival shortly after I got my car, and I was actually surprised at the amount of people that were here, but was even more surprised at the amount of people that were here that I knew. I don't know how I came across this particular festival that was out here, but I did have a lot of fun. There was a lot of food, there was vendors, there was live music. They had the carousel open, and it was actually a lot warmer than it is now. So I'm not going to leave the car too far, but I'll pan up to show you guys. There is one of the playgrounds up in the distance, and then on the other side of that is actually the carousel. And as I mentioned, there is that service road. Well, actually, that's the main entrance to the park. And then if you go around around this field here is the other service road that goes all the way back down to the southern entrance of the of Highland Park. Over there is the snack bar and lifeguard house for when the pool is in session. And I'm not sure what that building is over there in the distance. I can't really make out what it says. I think it says swim facility, which is really weird. I didn't know that was a thing. This is that building that I was talking to you a couple minutes ago about. I don't know what that building is. I feel like it was built recently, but I don't really care to know what it is. It might just be like the Parks Department building or something like that. As you may have seen over here, I mentioned Endwell is 95% residential, and over in this area is actually most of the residential homes, and then you got a bunch of them also out there on up on the hills in the distance, and then down there to my left is the Delta company that I was telling you about, and also is the Park Manor Plaza, where everybody does all their shopping, dining, grocerying, and stuff like that. Somewhere over in this area, actually I think it's right down there, there is a short road that is public that you can actually walk into the park anytime, I guess you could say, but they kind of frown upon that because it is Broome County. And the one difference between Broome County and Tioga County is Broome County is more enforceable on its park hours than Tioga County is, just because of safety concerns, recent rises in criminal activity, and also, for legal reasons, such as trespassing, vandalism, and crazy stuff like that. Most of Broome County parks, I've noticed, usually close by sundown, unless they're posted differently. And then they usually close around, I think, between like 8 and 9 o'clock at night, depending on the season or depending on the park and the area. Whereas most Tioga County parks usually close at like 10, 11, or whatever time they have posted. I can't say it's a flaw on Broome County's part, because it is, like I said, for safety, security, and legal purposes, but it's definitely understandable that, they would enact something like that, versus other places. What else? Broome County is known as the Carousel County of the world, and one of the few places that still has a functioning carousel actually is Highland Park. There is a couple other parks, but we'll talk about those when we get to those areas. So with that being said, I am going to end this video. Sorry for the relatively short one, but don't really got that much to talk about. So stay tuned for the next episode.